Beep, 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 beep.
It's 11:59 at Radio Free America. This is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
And welcome everybody to our daily gun show. We come to you live every day at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific for about an hour or 90 minutes. We hit 3 different gun-related topics every day and different topics throughout the week. We run it live on YouTube and we simulcast it over at gunchannels.com. We're watching the live comments over on Gun Channels and over on YouTube. Let's see, we'll let it render into a video. And then when it's all over, we'll take the audio from that and we'll turn it into a podcast over on iTunes. So we encourage everybody who's listening to the show now or in the future to leave us some feedback on whatever platform you're on. That'll give us some idea of where people are listening, and it'll help to get the shows recommended to more listeners. So we appreciate that. That's why we say that every single day. So there's 4 of us hosts right now. There's 4 of us in here. We've got Dano jumping in from Illinois. Thanks for joining.
I'm here, and I think I'm okay. I'm in my safe space.
Okay. Then we got Smeggy jumping in from Michigan. Thanks for joining.
Yep. Thanks for having me. How's it going, everybody?
Then we got Z jumping in from the island of Maui.
Aloha, and safe spaces are an illusion.
And then I'm down here in Arizona. So we're about to jump into episode are we on? 252. And we'll be talking about the Second Amendment. We'll be talking about good idea, bad idea, and our new segment today. So before we jump into all that, we usually take a break, see if anything happened overnight, anything we're talking about.
So I've got something before you do the Dano thing, if you don't mind.
Sure, go right ahead.
Because I mean, I know you want to get it over with, but this is I got this off of the Firearms Policy Coalition. I think it's just like fpc.org or fpcnews.org, I think is the website. I don't have the link. I have it on my phone here. But anyways, I'm just going to read this real quick here. So, where did I have to go? Oh, Today, the Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals, sitting en blanc, which means with a full court, issued a terrible new decision that overturned an important pro-Second Amendment decision issued by a previous 3-judge panel. It placed the Second Amendment rights in grave danger, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it decided, among other things, that firearms regulations that restrict so-called assault weapons should be subject to tougher judicial review. Oh, wait, that was the other one. Hang on, sorry. Crap. I'm totally screwing this up. But anyways, basically, they decided that things like here it is. Banned assault weapons and large capacity magazines are not protected by the Second Amendment. That was that's the summary of their decision. So in places that have certain restrictions and all that stuff, you can't fight it on the base of like, well, but it's the Second Amendment. They're like, nah, it doesn't count. It's not covered, which I think is completely stupid.
Now, was that the one that's out east? Out west?
It is South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and Maryland.
Yep. Fourth Circuit.
Okay.
But here's the deal. That is not the end-all, be-all. That can be appealed. And potentially, boy, you know what I'd like? Just following what Smeggy just did right there. Boy, would I like our presidential choice for Supreme Court nominee to be in position when that goes to the Supreme Court. Because then we would crush that baloney. Crush it. And then we would have precedent in the good way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It would apply then to all the different.
And it would basically say, all you states out there where you are restricting the rights of your people, then you're not really supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, I guess sometimes you have to lose before you can win, but it's still annoying that the original 3-judge panel was like, well, yeah, of course they're covered. Like that means arms, like that's covered. You're good to go. So it's really, it's kind of amazing that then the full court, it's like, no, we changed our mind. We don't think so.
To quote the wise sage Jonathan of Rambo from the movie First Blood, it ain't over. It's never over. He just said it screaming while there was machine gun fire and stuff like that. I wasn't going to go all the way there.
Still pretty dramatic reenactment. That was good. So anyways, yeah, it's just short thing, something to keep our eyes on. I just found out about it like a couple minutes before the show started, so that's why I was stumbling through reading the article. So I hadn't fully memorized it yet, but anyways, we can move on to, I think Dano has some news from last night.
I might. Actually, it's an evolution of ideas and thoughts culminating in a decision that was then pursued and achieved. How does that sound? Pretty good, huh?
It sounds pretty good.
That's how you describe a win, dude. That's how you describe a win, bro.
Yep. So, for those of you that did not happen to catch yesterday's Daily Gun Show, we had a discussion about buying a firearm online. In this case, it was used, but we also got into the used versus new discussion and suggestions on different ways to go about it, and so forth and so on. So anybody else want to throw out a summary of last night before I continue?
Anybody? Dana wanted to know if he should buy a used revolver, and it happened to be a used revolver that was relatively common.
Yes.
We went on and on about an LCR and the advantages of buying one used or not, and then buying one on eBay auction, and it's all about the LCR.
And we tried to explain to him that that's a pretty common gun, and then also the difference in price that you're saving from the used to the new isn't potentially not a deal breaker. I think that would be pretty fair to say, would you not, Dano? I mean,
right. For if you're going to potentially put your life on the line, is whether it's a savings of $100 or $80 or $150, really that substantial that that you're willing to potentially risk it. And I thought about that, and I thought, I on that particular point that you guys had an excellent point, and so I decided, okay, as far as the new versus used, I agree with that as far as a carry gun, which is different than a hunting gun, which is different than just a range only gun or something like that. So so I like the idea of that. Okay, we'll just go with the new. And now we're getting past the show last night. Now, several years ago, before I bought my couple of Glocks that I have now, including the Glock 26, which is what I normally carry, I had looked into buying several other very small 9mm semi-auto guns. One of which was the Car CM9, which is M for micro, very tiny, just almost as tiny as the Diamondback 9, which has got a terrible reputation, the Diamondback that is, for reliability. So I had already done my research on the gun, and the reason I didn't buy it the first time around was due to capacity, and at that point, I was going from a larger gun to a smaller gun. And of course, how far down are you willing to go, and that you still consider it acceptable? Well, that's a personal decision, not really a right versus wrong. Like, is it 5 rounds? Is it 6 rounds? Is it 8 rounds? Or is it 10? That's kind of up to the individual to decide that. And so I decided, well, let me go out there and take a look to see what the cars are costing these days. So I went out on Gunbroker, but now my time, it's just after midnight. And so I go out on Gunbroker, and I see a guy out there who has a new in-box Car CM9 for currently bidding at $280. And it has 4.5 hours left until it expires. So that's like 4:30 in the morning. It's going to expire. So I think about it for maybe 10 minutes, maybe a little bit longer. And I said, well, I'll just figure out what's the maximum I'm willing to pay, which is something that Z had talked about yesterday. And then go to bed, and if that works out, that's great. I got a hell of a deal for a new in box, and if it doesn't, then it wasn't meant to be. So I put in a bid for 185, or excuse me, 285, and then the other guy who wasn't there but had the auto bid thing turned on, it immediately outbid me to 290, and then he ended up going. He did 290, I did 295, and excuse me, he did 295. I'm getting this out of order, and anyway, it ended up at 300, and his auto bid stopped. And 300 was also my maximum number I was willing to go. And now it's, about 1:45 in the morning, Central Time.
You're delirious, clearly, at this point.
Yeah, delirious. And so I decided, okay, I'm going to go to bed.
What's the model number of that one again?
It's the car CM9.
The one that shaves the frame off every time that the slide reciprocates, that one, or a different one?
Could be the same one, don't know.
Okay.
And went to bed, and when I woke up in the morning, it was mine. So I got a brand new car CM9 for $300 plus shipping and the eventual transfer fee. Yeah, that's an interesting pull there.
Does it work though? Is the question?
Oh.
Nah, crap, it doesn't.
That's a good question, though. So, Dano, it's been a couple of hours. You've been up. You've had the majority of your day. You've had time to either dwell upon it to the point of it's making you insane, or you haven't thought 2 seconds about it. And you've had a meal since then.
Oh, yeah.
What do you think about your purchase?
I feel I'm glad I made it, and I feel fortunate that I got it at the price I did. So I'm happy.
Okay.
I mean, and once I get it, I'll take it to the range and verify that if it's up to my standards of being reliable before I ever carry it.
And not having fired one, but having talked to more than a few people that have, seems to be a decent size, as in small.
Right.
That's what you're looking for, right?
Yeah, and I have a unique kind of situation in regards to how I need to carry for when I might actually need it. That whether it be a Glock 26 in my case, or a small revolver, just simply have, in order to be in a large enough caliber, and 38 Special I consider to be the smallest caliber I'd be willing to carry as far as a revolver is concerned. Or 9mm is a small enough one that I'd be willing to carry in a semi-auto. That they both present different problems. They don't really solve the problem I'm currently having, especially now that we're going to get into the warmer weather. I needed something that was lighter and a little bit smaller. And that necessitated going to basically a single stack and something that was still reliable. And I looked at the Glock 43 as another possible choice. But the weight is, again, when you get down into lighter guns, it depends on, how many ounces is too much. Again, kind of a personal choice. But was, in my opinion, since weight is part of the issue that I'm having, weight matters in regards to printing. Since I tend to vest carry. So that's the main reason why I did not go for the Glock 43 was the weight.
Is vest carry the male answer to off-body carry, like for a female's purse? Is that the same thing?
I'm not sure.
Off and setting it places. Do you coat check your vest? Do you vest check?
No.
I don't know.
I don't.
Like when you go into a restaurant, you vest check. You put on your vest.
Now, Dano, I got a question for you. Is this going to be a warm weather gun only then?
Yeah.
Because isn't Carr the one that had the problems when they froze or freezing weather?
This is on the this is between. This is on my body, not outside of my body.
Okay. And you don't live in a place that's cold enough where it would get to freezing temperatures.
Even if it was, my winter coat is on the outside.
I gotcha.
I mean, and
I swear Moon did a video about that, and I'm about to shame Moon Food out there into posting a link or something because I swore he did a video on that. Yes, I'm talking to you, Moon Food.
But I keep my winter jacket zipped down to the point that I can take my draw hand, stick it straight in to where it's mounted on the inside of my vest, grab it and pull it straight out. That's how I carry it. So it's got literally my body heat, and it's insulated by not only the vest but also the winter coat I'm wearing. So temperature is a non-issue.
Okay.
In regard to the way that I carry it for this particular application.
Did you Google CM9 problems or anything like that before you purchased the firearm, or it was just kind of heat of the moment, like I'm into it, I'm going to ride the wave and all that kind of stuff?
I had done that previously. Like I said, I had researched this firearm before I bought my Glock 26. So I was aware of some of the potential issues that some people have had.
With the Carr CM9?
With the Carr line in general.
Okay. Well, dude, I mean, I'm having a Shamrock Shake right now, so I'm in such a good mood, dude. I don't even think I can give you a bunch of shit right now. So if you're happy, I'm happy. Shamrock Shake wins.
And until it passes a range test, I won't be carrying it because that's something I feel is critical for any carry weapon. So it's not crossed the finish line just yet. Because the worst case is I can take a gun that I paid a whole lot less than most people pay for and just turn around and sell it if I'm not happy with it. Because I'm not going to keep something to defend my life that I'm not confident in.
Well, that's my favorite part of the whole story so far.
The potential for selling it?
Yeah, that he's open to get rid of that thing as soon as possible.
Oh, that's good. Because, if he did get it for a good price, he should be able to get almost that price back out of it. I don't know if you're going to get $300 for it, but maybe. I mean, it'll be a used car, so I don't know.
I'm saying, what is it used, or what is it new normally? 'Cause you said you got a good deal on it. I'm not familiar with cars pretty much at all. I know they exist, and that's why I've been quiet most of the time, because I don't know if that's good or bad.
You admit you don't know anything about cars and you live in Detroit. That's what's wrong with this country. Okay,
come on now. You know what I'm saying. But I'm just curious, like, what is a normal, new car go for? The firearm, not the vehicle.
I'm trying to look that up. It was I had the number last night, and I don't want to say a number.
Moon says $369 to $399 is what Moon Food's up there saying.
So upper threes to 400. So you got it for 300. That
I was going to say 364 to 397, but
that's why you never won on Prices Right.
Now the MSRP, which of course nobody sells it for MSRP, is $460. So,
right, but either way, you probably got it for $60 to $100 cheaper than normal. So I'm sure if you did want to sell it used, you could probably still get $300 out of it, especially if you're like used 50 rounds through it or whatever. People would know
if
that
it's not reliable. Losing money on it is the least of my concerns.
Now, do you feel like that person will be a sucker if they buy it from you, Dano?
No more or no less than I am at this moment.
Oh man, I've seen people step in big piles of dog shit before, but buddy, you just stepped 3 toes deep.
Oh yeah, I mean, because well, that's trying to predict the future without having the hindsight of a rearview mirror. Who has that?
The wealth of knowledge that is gun channels. But anyway, I'm not here to give you a hard time, Dano.
Was it a Maverick 88? No.
I mean, the fact that you went from an LCR to a car, is an interesting switcheroo concept anyway. I mean, because it's completely different caliber, different style of handgun, everything. So, I mean, it's almost like nothing that we talked about. And then I can almost guarantee if you had a conversation with some of the Gun Channel's members that have had cars, and you know, I say that because, but I also know we got Car Carrier out there, and he listens to the show all the time. So
I've never spoken highly of a car ever.
I know.
Well, you've also never spoken highly of 9mm ever.
Yes, but he has owned 9mm. I don't know that he's ever owned a car.
No, I wouldn't own a car. The only car I'd own is that little 380 because I like tiny little guns that look cool. But
so now you have an exception to your hardcore rules.
oh, you're
You
gonna
wouldn't carry it.
I own more junk. I own more broken guns than most people own. So you can't compare what I would buy because it looks cool with what's practical gun. I don't have any requirement that a gun I buy is practical. You're buying it for carry. So we're talking about two different things. But anyway.
So you feel that puts you in a position to critique others?
Well, wait a minute. When their opinion is asked,
not at all. Being in the industry, to whatever extent I've been in the industry since like 2004 and working in shops throughout those times and then hanging out in shops throughout those times and then being interested in the car years and years and years ago and being discouraged from it through actual examples of reasons why I did not be interested in them. And then since then, like literally a decade of seeing people buy them and have disappointments and broken ones. And no, I've never said anything nice about a car ever. I don't understand why you would go from an LCR and then to a car. It's like Z saying that. That's around the corner and slowing down and then parking and then getting out and walking. But you know, it's like asking directions how to drive somewhere, but then turning around the corner and parking and getting on a bus.
Well,
that is an excellent analogy, by the way.
Although I guess I can't make you see what I see, and that, you know, in a conversation, whether it's this one or any other conversation, there are bits and pieces from it that we may take into consideration and may incorporate into our thinking, i.e., new versus used, or buying online versus buying in person, versus you know, other attributes that
why friends don't let friends buy a car.
Could be. Anyway, I will give you all an update when I get back from the range, when I eventually get it, to see how either crappy or wonderful it may have ended up being.
Is it from out of state or in state?
Out of state.
All right. That's enough of that.
I think we should start the show. What do you say?
Yeah, I think I think so.
Also, Matt had a chat last night about sci-fi that y'all didn't even show up to, and it was freaking sci-fi.
Some of us actually have jobs, dude. Plural.
Up with their weak ass little 10 lists, and I pinned it on PBR and Z.
Oh, I heard what you did, Mister List of 60 freaking movies. I heard what you did.
40, and that's what I'm saying. I knew that once PBR and you weren't there, that I had to hold up the slack for all the other people are just going to pick the boring, like top 10 ones. So, yeah, I felt undue burden and like I had to do extra work.
So what won? Because I did not get a chance to hear the final.
Something garbage like The Matrix, probably, or something. Just whatever. Blah.
Matrix and Fifth Element were winning when I was listening.
No, we don't even know if he wasn't there to keep track, so who knows if Matt was. He's all drunk. He's probably just putting checks next or whatever.
He didn't sound that drunk. But then again, I stopped listening at some point because I had shit I was doing. Oh, so nice. Pottering's out there. Star Trek 1, then Star Wars, then Star Trek. Okay.
So I'm thinking we need to take the top 10s away from Matt. He's just running reckless with them, and we can do a good job with him.
Right, the you know, from the listener's point of view, at least my point of view, you know the top 10 or 20 or whatever it happens to be is getting a little long in the tooth as a listener.
Yeah, it could be sprinkled and not every month, every week, right?
Yeah.
All right, so
Other than the rest of the audience seems to dig it, and they wait with bated breath for us to grace them with our top 10 lists.
Well, I believe, as I just said, as an individual lister, it's just me and my opinion.
all right, so let's move on to the first segment of the show, which is Second Amendment. We could talk about something that's getting played out. I'm sick of talking about this thing already. Is there any way to ensure that the Second Amendment remains unfettered so we can just quit talking about it already and it just stays there? We don't have to worry about it.
Well, I think we kind of touched on something like that earlier today, right? When I mentioned the bad ruling in the Fourth Circuit. The only other step up from there is to go to the full-on Supreme Court. And if we got the right people in place and that gets up there and they come out with a decision that says, yeah, every type of gun is an arm, you're allowed to have them, that's what, shall not be infringed mean, leave everyone alone. That would be about the best thing we could get, is some type of Supreme Court decision that's like, this is what it says, this is what it means, quit messing with people's rights.
We also have a state bill moving forward, or about to go to committee to get voted on. It's the one where it only takes one person to complain about you being a potential danger, or to yourself or to others or whatever. And then it's the one where they come and grab your firearms and ammo, kind of like the one I think that passed in California and somewhere else it passed. And what's that?
Your knives and your bows and arrows, blow darts.
Yeah, but I'm not worried about those. I'm worried about the firearms.
So you're saying once that gets passed, everyone's just going to tattle on each other, and then we don't have to worry about the second because no one will have guns anyways.
Well, that's
that your
basically
final solution then?
Well, because it doesn't technically even have to be a corroborated instance, so to speak. Basically, they're saying that this law, that if it gets passed, that any person, and then of course there's no due process. You don't actually get to have a court case to hear if you are or if you're not. They can then come and take your stuff from you. So it is accepting testimony, but this is the first time lately that the state has not allowed you to, do the form letter or any of that other stuff. You literally have to write testimony this time. So they're making it even harder to do that. So in my opinion, is there truly any way to make it unfettered? No, there currently is not. And I don't know that there ever will be any way to make the Second Amendment unfuckable. But you know me, I'm an optimist, so.
Right. Well, what do you think of my idea, though? Like, if there was some type of Supreme Court case that just flat out says the people have a right to own guns, it means what it says, shall not be infringed. Do you think that would kind of put a nail in the coffin of the gun people?
And the reason it won't is because any future Supreme Court can overrule a previous Supreme Court's decision. That's why.
Well, and on the other side, since the Second Amendment is a federal law, basically, right? That any state that votes upon it can technically go their own way and adjust it, apparently, in whatever manner that they see fit. So I don't know that the Second Amendment is truly any way to keep it unfettered. Which is really bumming me out.
So what Z is really trying to say is he agrees with me.
What do you mean?
That there's no way to keep it from being messed with or attempted to being messed with.
Well, I mean, there's things that you can put into place that you hope stand the test of time, and or you do it the right way in which that it doesn't. But
you can use all the speed bumps.
Laws of man are written by man, so I'm going to go with that. Yeah. There's any number of ways that they can get screwed up.
Absolutely. You can put on all the speed bumps you want. All that will do is delay the inevitable of they will attempt to screw with it directly at some point.
So I think that you don't have a system in place. You guys are right. What Smeggy's talking about is probably one that would last a long time, but it's movable, right? But I think you ensure its existence by realizing that it's not something like a building you build or a wall that gets created. It's more of a net or a sail or something where it has to be monitored all the time and paid attention to, like a kite or something that, it's not necessarily perishable, but needs to be mended, like a flag, right?
It's a war with no end, that there will be ongoing battles forever, but the war will have no end, and you can only have it for as long as you can keep it.
So as long as you realize that it's something that needs to be held up as opposed to something that gets nailed to a thing, then everyone just realizes that the way that you keep it up in the air is by coming up with a system that everybody holds it up. Everybody puts their arms up and it's up there.
Are we doing calisthenics? What are you talking about?
Healthy tip of the day: hold the Second Amendment up
with both hands.
Every once in a while, let it act like it's going to fall to the ground, but then just giggle and hold it back up and throw it up in the air a little bit. It'll giggle, and you can catch it again.
Okay.
So it's like that blow-up ball at rock concerts they toss around in the audience.
Oh, there you go. Could be like that too.
Yeah, but it's more like crowd surfing, and you're the guy that you made it about 10 feet into the crowd, and potentially the crowd may have given up on you, and then all of a sudden you're picking yourself up off the ground if they're not stomping you into a mud hole.
It's the Second Amendment that's crowd surfing, so everyone's going up there.
Yeah, but I'm utilizing it as to say, how many times have you ever been crowd surfing, dude?
Sure.
Like, it's fun. And depending on if you're a chick or not a chick, that usually determines how far in the crowd you get to surf before somebody doesn't hold you up and you end up on the ground. And if you're lucky, they're not stepping on you. I crowd surf mosh pits. Now that would be something to see.
So anyways, though, I don't know if I understand what you guys are saying as far as, okay, the battle's never over. I agree with you on that. I was just trying to think of things that would, bolster our defenses a little bit more. And
well, you're not wrong, Smegs. You're not wrong at all, dude. That if we could get the definitive statement from the Supreme Court saying, "Fuck you guys over there. These guys are right. Knock it the fuck off."
Right. Like it means what it says. But the other thing, and this is, if I can throw some more optimism into the ring here and maybe not bum you out so much, because it has been done on the state level, things like preemption, where the state comes out and says, okay, cities, you can't be more restrictive than we are. Now, those states still are not, awesome sometimes, but at least a city can't be like, no, we're just not going to allow certain types, because the state comes in and says, you can't do that. So that's a good step. Some of the other things that have been done, they tag team the preemption thing with also, if you are a city and your law gets challenged and you lose, which you will because the state law says you can't do this, you have to pay all the legal fees of the other side. So now there's a monetary incentive not to infringe on people's rights, because they know it's inevitable they're going to lose as soon as the case comes up.
But who pays the city? We do. So technically, we're still paying. Technically.
Well, yes, but here's the thing: that's still a threat that no city, mayor or councilman or whatever is gonna want to deal with, and because you're right, it does come from the taxpayers' money, sure.
So if you start,
they're going to get voted out if they wasted all the city's money the next time around.
Yep, I agree with you on that. I do agree with you on that.
The only power we have over politicians is threatening to not vote for them the next time. They might have tricked us once. It's that whole thing. Like, so some bad person can get in once, but they're not going to get in a second time if we stay vigilant. So that's one thing that can bolster.
Won't get fooled again.
We can bolster the Second Amendment in that way, of at least on the state level saying, okay, cities, you can't mess with it. And then if there was some similar thing on a federal level saying, all right, states, you can't be more restrictive than the federal government because the Second Amendment, that's the whole point of it. Like, yeah, it's federal stuff, but it's supposed to be applied evenly to each state. You don't have some states where some people are allowed to vote and other people aren't. No, everyone who's allowed to vote in one state can vote in a different state. Like, that's just how it works. It's your right.
You kind of have to be a resident of that state, correct?
Well, yes, but I'm saying there's not like one state that says, well, we only let, male
okay. Well, yeah.
landowners vote in this state, and the
Yep.
other state says, no, everyone can. As long as you're 18, you register, you're good to go.
Yep. Okay.
Because a right delayed is a right denied, as the great prophet Hillary Clinton once said.
Yeah, she talks crazy a lot of the time, but every once in a while, I'm just ending that statement. Never mind.
Yeah.
I ain't even finishing that statement talking about HRC, especially when we're talking the Second Amendment and trying to be positive. Do we feel that there any other? So are we all in agreement though that there's if it remains unchecked or unguarded, that truly there is no way to keep it unfettered, untrifled with?
I would agree. It is not a rotisserie chicken where you set it and forget it. I agree with that statement.
Nice. Thank you, Ron Popeil.
And I third it.
G-Webs is anti-GMO, so he probably is, let's see, I bet he's pro-Second Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that there's any way to ensure that it remains
Yeah, realize that it's not something that gets set somewhere and it just stays there, that it has to be something that's constantly maintained, and then you instill that in your descendants, and that remains one of the things that keeps us united as a country. Not the fact that we have to, like that we're urged to, the fact that we do and we choose to, and that we accomplish it. We like actually figure it out and do it. That's the thing that unites us as as free individuals.
It's the dependence part of which we have no guarantee of controlling, and which is why we don't necessarily as hardcore Second Amendment today as we were in 1777, 78, 79, etc.
Wait, what?
People constantly being born and dying. The citizenry of adult age is constantly changing. There's no way to assure that the citizenry is going to have the same viewpoints, consistency to continue watering the seeds of the Second Amendment or the plant of the Second Amendment.
Right. Like I agree that like there's no way to ensure that they're going to have the same values unless you realize that that's how you do it. You ensure that they have the same values and they appreciate the things that we have and why we have them.
Right.
Well, even if they don't end up being the same values, at least if they're similar, there's a chance. You know what I mean?
But
well, no,
I mean, that's
crucial
how we started with.
In mind,
none of us were alive when the NFA was around. Yet it was our predecessors that allowed that to go, not only be passed, but also go unchecked for many, many years.
Okay, one thing, and it's machine guns and a bunch of other things. What we've allowed in our lifetime is dozens of things that are razor cuts. So they took one cut in a knife fight and then kept handguns off the registry, and then and parried in such a way, perhaps, I don't really know. I'm assuming, I'm just trying to look at it from a different perspective for devil's advocacy here. But they were able to parry it in such a way that it wasn't attacked again for another many years. It was attacked one more time to verify, to clarify, and then not again until 68. Whereas we get paper cuts literally more than once a presidency, and we don't react anymore. We rarely react, and we only wince. Back then, they reacted to such an extent that they didn't screw it that shit again for 30 years.
They got furious. And that is what kept handguns off the list. You're 100% correct on that, dude. We forget about that part all the time.
So I just don't want to make it seem like, I don't know, that there's some, that we're somehow slacking or somehow doing better. We're just part of it. And I think that's how we ensure the Second Amendment. We just have to acknowledge that it's a constant vigilance.
I have to admit, I was old enough to vote for the AWB in 1994. I will also admit that I was not a voter at that time. That's actually when I moved out here, and it's like I didn't take. Yep. Well, do you know what? It really wasn't my fault.
It passed by one vote. Way to go.
No, it didn't. But to your point though, Smags, is I also did not though in turn then vote those crappy McCraps right out of office the instant I had a chance either. So
You mean Australia did?
Yeah, or even part of Colorado, sorta, kind of.
Yeah. That's something Australia's proud of. When you talk to the people that pass that thing, they wear that as a badge of honor. Like, we did the right thing, even though it was super unpopular and everyone voted us out the next time. It's like, maybe you should wear that as a shame, saying we did something that the vast majority of people didn't like.
And violent crime has shot up double digits percentage-wise, maybe even triple digits since that happened as well.
How much of that has to do with the fact that they don't allow the marijuana, which is recreational now there in huge scale, money-wise, they don't allow that to work through banks. So there's a lot of cash, and that means cash at all levels.
There's a lot of weed in Australia?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Colorado.
Oh, well.
I don't know what them kangaroos are doing with them extra pockets all the time.
Sure, right? But now I hear what you're saying on the other side. Yeah. Well, it's still illegal federally, though. So, yeah, that's a whole different ball of wax.
And that's why it's a cash business, because credit card companies won't get involved.
And we know they
want to risk federal stuff.
The reason the crimes went up in Australia is because it's a penal colony.
Well, but there was also, like we've said before, same thing with Great Britain or whatever, when there's no fear of repercussion or someone being able to defend themselves with lethal force, well, then all of a sudden you and 2 or 3 people, and I don't mean anybody on the panel, I'm saying the bad guys with 1 or 2 or 3 people, then all of a sudden can ride roughshod over just about any situation that they want to if they're willing to utilize the violence necessary to achieve their goals. So, I mean, that's just the fucking nature. Not what she said when Pelosi or the other weirdo lady said that, oh, if we just don't have guns, then they just won't use them.
It's human nature. They're going to see that you're not armed, and they're going to set down their arms. It's human nature.
And I don't remember if it was Barbara Boxer or Nancy Pelosi, but it was clearly the most insane statement I think I've ever heard in reference to something like that. She was genuine. She was not joking, dude. That's the whole other crazy thing. She was not joking.
Have you spent any time on the streets? So how do you actually know what human nature is like on the streets? She might have spent a lot of time on the streets.
I have lived on the street, but that's something we don't need to talk about now. So, yeah. So, just to answer your question, yes. I probably know a lot more of what's going on the streets than that lady does. But that's getting us off subject. Off subject. We're probably just about done with this for today, right?
We're almost done with the show today. We haven't even gotten into it.
Well, in between the first and second segment, we'd like to have the technical pop quiz.
I can when I can. And it's time for the tactical pop quiz of the day. So those of you over on YouTube, get your fingers ready. Same for those of you over on gun channels. My master official, have you seen the question? And more importantly, have you seen the answer?
I have, and I'm just going to make sure that I got everything refreshed and I can see everybody's answer. And I think I'm good to go, bro.
All right. I will read the question twice. Words matter, so pay attention to the wording of the question carefully. Who created Front Sight Training Program / facility? Who created Front Sight Training Program / facility?
Dano, are we accepting phonetical spelling on this one?
Sure.
So, like, if they're at least close, we'll give it to them?
Yep.
Island Street Survivor is accurate, but not for the question. Oh, Bing. I'm going with Ponnery on that one.
Yes, it's
Make it-
Dr. I'm going to attempt to pronounce it. Dr. Piazza
Yeah.
is the person who created Front Sight training program.
Are you saying Dr. Pizza made Front Sight?
Like
No.
Mike Piazza. It's like his probably cousin's, roommate's, brother's uncle, I think.
I just heard pizza a second time.
Yeah, Dr. Ignatius Piazza is the correct answer. And that does mean that Sean Ponnery is the winner.
So congratulations, Sean. You know what to do. Head over to dailygunshow.com/pop quiz. Fill out the form, put your first, second, and third choice, and congratulations, Mr. Bonnery.
Welcome back to the winner's circle, my friend. That makes you the tactical pop quiz hot shot for today. So good job. Way to make it happen.
You know what that also means?
What's that mean?
Just rolled over the old odometer to the number 30 win.
Really?
I think
Woo-hoo!
Well, now he won't feel so bad for getting so close on today's early watch. Guess that gun, 21 question edition, and he got robbed by Night Strike.
Nice. So it was a death match today. Was that today?
Yes, it was actually quite fun. Like I said, it was 20 question style. So everyone had a chance to ask a question, and I would answer yes or no. And they had 2 questions left. Night Strike guessed correctly.
Nice.
So this was on the early watch, or this is in your early show? Or...
No, that was on the early watch, which ran up until just about this show started. Jimmy ran it a little bit late, so I guess he didn't have to go into work tonight. So that worked out very well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I checked in this morning and I didn't see him on, so I left.
Yeah, he starts up at like 10:30ish, I think, nowadays. Like it's a little bit later than what it used to be.
Just
he's still been doing it.
Address the YouTube side. Yes, Roomtastic, you did have the right answer. You just did not have the right answer before Sean Ponnery did on the Gun Channel side. And yes,
and I believe the
YouTube
chat lags behind a little bit of the Gun Channel's chat. So maybe
but we have had winners from
Gun
YouTube
Channels.
Well, then there's that. Go over to gunchannels.com, correct? That's all you got to do?
Yep.
Make a profile and boom.
Got an account.
Yep.
Doesn't get much simpler.
All right, to get back on the schedule track here, we're going to head into the good idea, bad idea segment. But before we do, we'd like to take a break between the first and
we
second.
ever stay on schedule.
We'd like to take a break between the first and second segment of the show each day to feature one of the members over at Gun Channels. Gun Channels is a place we built a while back. It's a community. It's focused on firearms. We built it, so it's built by shooters for shooters. It's completely membership driven, and to that end, we like to feature a member each day. This week, we're talking about members that run shows over on Gun Channels, live shows like this one, and we're stepping on the necks of Andalusia Armory. They're actually live right now, and it was one of the decisions.
Why we say we're just stepping on their toes, man? Come on, we're not stepping on their neck. We're stepping on their toes.
They were established, and we did decide to move the show, and we had to lay it down somewhere, and it laid down right on top of their time slot. So I just figure on Tuesdays we like to mention that, and again remind people that it's an interesting show to watch. It's a gun
great
shop,
show.
Close up shop for the day on Tuesdays. They turn the cameras on, they set up a little card table there, and kind of just BS about what's been going on over the week. And it's an interesting insight to a shop and what it's like to work at a shop and experience it from the other side of the counter, perhaps. And it's real. It's not. They're not selling you nothing on that show. It's just, and I doubt that many people are going past Andalusia to walk in the front door. So it's really just a labor of love for them, and it's fun to watch. So we did have to lay down this show somewhere, and that's why we just like to let people know that it's
3 dudes from Alabama, and they are freaking hilarious. Like, that's natural. Like, that's unscripted. Like, they're not sitting down and writing jokes. They're just funny.
But it's neat because they've been doing it for such a long time that they know they're doing it. And it's, whenever you're doing something on the regular, you're like, oh, I'm going to talk about that on the show, and they've gotten to that point where now it's, it's fun to watch. So anyway, that's who we're featuring today. And, of course, Sean and the other guys, I don't know if Sean hangs out all the time. I don't know if the other guys hang out on their individual accounts, but, anyway, it's on the Andalusia Armory channel, and we have a link to it in the show description there.
Yeah, so if you have a chance, And you're watching our show right now. We definitely appreciate it, but you should definitely watch their show afterwards.
And not only is it an interesting group of guys, this is also proof of concept that you can run 2 shows back to back. We don't always have to do one after another or one before another. If you have a different take or a different style, whatever, and you want to do it at the same time as someone else's, you most certainly can.
That's a great point. All right, so we're going to dig into good idea, bad idea. It's a segment we do once a week to hash out important issues in the firearms community. Usually only the most cutting edge of topics do we save for this topic, and this today is no exception. We're going to be talking about if it's a good idea or a bad idea to wear casual footwear.
I want definition right now. What are you defining casual footwear as?
It says wearing casual footwear for a training class. Now,
are you talking boat shoes? Are you talking lace-ups? Are you talking tennis shoes? Are you talking flip-flops? What is your definition that we are going to be using for casual footwear, please?
I don't remember how this one got in here. I think this is a deliberate attempt to sabotage the show. This is
right. Because, I mean, if you're going to talk tennis shoes, I've seen people wear tennis shoes. I've seen people wear boots. Now, clearly, boots are not casual footwear by definition.
Well, to be serious about it, is it a good idea, a bad idea? I think a lot of people would disregard wearing casual footwear. So, in other words, just whatever you might be wearing. But if you're going to a class to train for CCW, then it probably makes some sense to experience
wear what you wear, right?
Right. So if you're like the type to wear the flip-flops, I can't imagine why, but some people do that. You might want to experience what it's like to have to deal with brass or rocks or whatever in that kind of situation. I think more realistically, though, if you're the type that wears like a suit and you have those crazy, smooth bottom shoes, that might be something that you're not used to going, doing the stuff that you might do when you're going to a knee or something to reload.
Lateral moves.
Huh?
Lateral movement.
Yeah, doing some of the more just thinking about, moving without thinking about it, I guess, So I guess that there might be something to say for that. And then I think one long time ago, we had this female Marine on Gun Channels who came in for a while, and she had talked about the idea of wearing her high heels or something for either a class or for just going to the range. Wow. And we were all kind of snickering. And then she said, but the thing is, if you wear those kind of shoes, what are you going to just think you're going to kick them off and then be barefoot or what? So if you're a female and you wear those kind of shoes, then we shouldn't gender shame. If anybody wears weird shoes of any kind, it might be worth considering. I don't know if it's worth wasting your time at a training class. I think I would take the training class without distraction and wear decent footwear, and then take the lessons learned from the training class and the drills and the whatever, and try it on your own, so you're not wasting the class's time. But I can see the concept being valid, but I just don't see it being practical at the actual class.
And when we're saying training class, are we kind of talking like the tactical classes, or like you said, though, are we potentially talking about a CCW class as well?
Well, you're going to have range time.
Then again, like CCW class probably isn't usually having you go around obstacles and stuff like that, right?
Yes, it's almost always just a classroom, and if there is any kind of range time, it's just standing there and shooting at a standard target, standing there. So
and it's qualifier square range standard stuff, right?
Yeah, the only issue there would be if you like tripped and fell, or like had hot brass fall on your naked foot because you're wearing flip-flops.
Yeah. But there are definitely some training classes that are, CCW oriented that aren't like hardcore, tactical response classes. Like, something that you are still going to do movement. You're still going to do, what do they call it? Like, shoot/no shoot type stuff. And so for something like that, I'm starting to. Originally I was going to say nope, horrible idea, that's stupid. And G's already kind of started to talk me in. Maybe not the flip flop thing, but I think of things like Vans or Airwalks or whatever. Like they're just regular shoes, and if you are the type of person that wears that stuff, that's what I wear in the summer when I'm not wearing my boots. Hopefully he's back. I would say I kind of agree with that. Yeah, maybe don't waste your time wearing something weird at a a training class, but definitely as far as training yourself with the different drills or different things, wear what you normally would wear. And so,
Well,
yeah, if you wear penny loafers every day, then you probably should know what it's like to run around wearing penny loafers.
Well, I would add something to that because, you know, you may be outside standing for 6+ hours, assuming you have a little bit of classroom time, that you're going to want to wear something that's going to be comfortable standing outside for at least 6 hours. And if
Comfortable and
you're not
adequate
comfortable
support.
standing in your penny loafers, then wear something else.
Yeah. So I guess let's go through the room then, and good idea versus bad idea. So, G-Wubs, where do you stand on that?
Like I said, for the class, bad idea.
All right. How about you, Dano?
For the class, bad idea.
Mr. Z?
Oh, bad idea.
Okay. I guess I will also go with bad idea. But again, I think that caveat of doing training in casual footwear is a good idea. Maybe not every single time, but at least every once in a while.
Well, and you know, the reason I wanted that definition for casual footwear, because there's tennis shoes out there these days that are cross training or something like that, or they're for rugged running and stuff like that, where they do have excellent support. They have a decent lug sole so that basically, you know, you're not slipping all over the place and stuff like that. But technically, it's still casual footwear. It's not a boot. It's not a mini boot. You know, but yet it's, you know, it's a borderline hiker, so to speak. So I mean, that's why I wanted that definition to start with. And
Well,
I think we addressed it.
And I think now when you go to the range, you know, for an hour or two or whatever, then you might want to consider maybe wearing what you normally wear.
Well, yeah, it's just going to be easier anyways, because you're just going about your day, and then, you know, you don't have to.
Oh, I have seen what Hot Brass does to somebody in flip flops. Not to me, but there was somebody else at the range that it's funny. I do see people at the range with flip flops on.
It's debilitating.
Dude, it's hot. I mean, think about it when it, you know, if it, you know, goes by your face or it hits your hand or your arm or your neck or whatever. Think about that on your foot or under your foot because you stepped on it. Because you know how the flip flop, when you move your foot forward or whatever, the back end opens up. So yeah, it's not impossible. And they do a dance. It's kind of a funny dance.
Is it similar to the like low cut shirt dance that you see every once in a while?
Yes, it's very similar to that.
All right, so I guess we've solved that one. We'll go on to the next topic. I threw a link out there to help keep the lights on. Every once in a while, we probably should talk about things that we've got out there. You can help support the show. So I dropped some links out there to our eBay auctions. Right now, we've got some eBay auctions going. So if you want to take a look at those, we'd appreciate it.
For some one-of-a-kind patches, man. Those things are awesome.
Yep. And, yeah, I'm not sure how to... Anyway, so we'll keep going. We're going to talk about a gun shop of the day. Every day we like to talk about a gun shop. And today we're talking about Carter Shooting and Hunting Supply. So this one is in Harrison, Tennessee. This is a little shop that we discovered on our way to the range with Artisan Tony back on our road trip in 2012. So it's pretty much an all-around shop with a little range in there. I think I have some pictures there. I guess I can screen share of their little range. It's kind of neat because it's out back and like an outbuilding. Then they just have video cameras monitoring it from the main store. We didn't shoot there though. Notice they had these cards, which is kind of nice. You don't allow guns, then we're not going to spend our money here. It's always nice to be able to have a couple of those to be able to drop off at businesses and restaurants that put up signs foolishly. You can see they have a lot of targets, which I thought was pretty cool. A lot of different types of targets and stuff. And you get an idea of the scale of the store there. It's a big open store and lots of full shelves. Plenty of rifles. I actually bought a sword here. See that sword on the wall right there? I own that sword.
A sword or a sword?
Sword. right here. That sword right there. Bought that for $35. That was a pretty good deal. Carried it around in the car the rest of the trip.
That's a
And
saber, dude. What are you talking about? That ain't
I'm
even a
assuming
saber.
that's some sort of remake, or
well, bought it in
remake.
DC, so I don't know. Yeah, probably. So anyway, cool little shop, and it's right around the corner, kind of, as I remember, from Tony's shooting club. So I'm sure they get some amount of traffic from people going to that. But that's about all I know about it. It was a pretty neat little shop, and kind of nice people and family-run type of place you like to see, you know, as opposed to a big box store or chain or something. So that's the shop. We like to feature one every day. We have had some people sending in pictures. I noticed that Clay posted a pic on Instagram today again. So thanks for that. Looks like a pretty interesting shop. We'll put that in the lineup here and feature it soon. But if you'd like to participate in that, remember you carry a camera around with you, probably if you're carrying a phone around. And most shops I've been to, if you ask them if it's okay to take a few photos to share with the internet, they are happy to let you and do so. That way you can share whatever's unique or interesting about whatever your shops have.
Dudes on the radio on the way home to come for the show heard my first radio ad for a gun shop ever in the state of Hawaii. Ever.
What was it like?
It was awesome.
Well, I
It's
mean,
guns.
was it like all about the sales, or was it like, you've never heard this before, but we're a gun shop?
Well, it was kind of like that, and it was one of the guys that he's one of the DJs or announcer guys, and so he does radio commercials, right? Also for the station, right? So he's kind of got a radio announcer voice, and he's kind of funny and all that kind of stuff, and he's like, guns for this, guns for that, and it was almost like it was a crazy TV Lenny thing for a split second there, but then it was one of the ones that I really like. It was the Maui Surplus and DT Sports. And that's the one that I always talk about. That's like one of our only surplus stores and stuff like that. So just to hear a gun shop ad on the radio blew my mind.
Very cool. Yeah, I don't remember when I was a kid ever hearing about them, but out here in Arizona, we've had them. So I guess I've become accustomed to them, but it is pretty cool to hear them on the radio. And I really think what's neat about that is, like you say, people are just driving around their cars and now they hear that. And if they
believe me, if I wasn't coming to the show, I actually would have turned around from where I was and I would have gone to the shop to say, I heard your ad on the radio.
Well, I just mean people that would never, maybe they never drive past a gun shop, so they never even think about it. They're there to surf or buy fishing or whatever the hell they're there to do, right? And they're just not thinking about guns. And now they're gonna get that exposure. That's quite cool.
Now, Z, I'm kind of curious because in Illinois, I never hear radio ads for gun shops or places to go shoot, period. What kind of, was it like what kind of station was it that the commercial was on? Was it music? If so, what kind of music? Was it?
Yeah. It was the music. Well, and here's the problem. Is out here, like, there's 3 companies that own 90% of the radio stations out here for the whole entire state. So, like, the one that I listen to it on has, like, 5 stations. And, like, so one of them is oldies, one of them is rock, one of them is different type of rock, so one of them is country, so and the one of them I was listening to was on the rock station. So it was on the oldie station. I think I just heard something like I don't know, probably some Motown
or before that,
like Motown.
Okay, I'm just curious what market they were trying to go after with that ad.
Well, like I'm saying, although it was on the one radio station, I probably will hear it on the other radio stations because they're owned by one company. That's what I'm trying to say. So although if I could have been listening to it on
with the station owner, and they'll play those little plugs on, each one.
Right. Because he owns, like I said, 5 or 6 of the radio stations. So it's, yeah.
I'm able to use the technology of the internet to tune into a Hawaiian radio station right now.
In the wine.
And out of the radio, if you were in Hawaii, little bubbles come out, little soap bubbles. Okay. I assume that's pretty much 24/7. That's just on repeat on the radios there.
Nope. You would be mistaken.
Well, you didn't have to
And I'm
cut
sure-
it out, Z. Jeez.
I'm sure he'll be right back. Well, that wasn't me. That was the ghost of Don Ho.
Well, that's
Slapping some
because
reality on him.
he used more bandwidth than Google allowed, and so
Right.
it slammed him down. So he shall return momentarily, I'm sure.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll be on to the next segment by that time.
Which I think, let's see. Well, we don't have any questions for today. At least not yet. So
We don't have a guest. Wasn't that what were we changing that to, G? I don't remember anymore.
Advocacy. Gun advocacy.
Really?
Yes.
Are you sure?
That's what we decided.
We don't have a guest. Wasn't that what were we changing that to, G? I don't remember anymore.
Advocacy.
So good. We had to hear it twice. Nice.
Yeah.
Now we know for sure.
Just
So
like
gun
Monty.
advocacy. Cool. Where we're gonna go with this one? Go be a good advocate.
well, how is just from my own understanding, how is that different than our Second Amendment category?
I don't know. Were you there during the planning session?
If I was, I may have maybe not.
I don't
been paying
remember that
attention.
being
I don't
put
know.
there, but I'm down with it. Whatever, man.
That's what I
Okay.
got in the notes. So I don't know. Anyhow, we're changing it to something. I thought it was gun advocacy, but maybe it's not. I don't know. But anyway, it ain't Q&A. We figured out that nobody's asking us any Q's, so there's no point in leaving the time for A's.
Dude,
Well, we could be an ass. I mean,
we
an
were-
A.
Yeah.
we were gonna do not necessarily gun manufacturer, but weren't we thinking about that?
No,
Or was that a different segment as well?
That's in the gun
that was
biz section.
on his segment. Occasionally, we were going to talk about gun things. I think it had something maybe to do with how we were going to focus on a state every week.
Okay. Yep.
Well, if
Because
that's
we
the
got
case, maybe
52 weeks.
I don't know. Do we have a state for this week or whatever? But Washington just had some decent stuff. But
Well, it's New Jersey, so
oh, New Jersey. Okay.
Oh, dude. Speaking of New Jersey, you know who might be throwing their hat in the ring for governor of New Jersey?
only because
Anybody?
you told me earlier.
One of the trumpets.
Nope.
Oh.
Even better. Freaking Joe Piscopo might be running for governor of New Jersey. That is so awesome. Like, I can't even tell you how awesome that is. And Joe is pro 2A. Just so you know.
Now I know his characters. You mean? Are you sure the person?
I believe so. Anything that I have read about his stance, because he even one of the things that I read was he was like at a dinner the other night for fundraising or whatever, and it's like being a comedian, he knew that he had the room and he could have crushed them with laughter, but he opted not to, in that he's there as a fundraiser and he didn't want to detract from his level of seriousness about this particular way of people viewing him. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then what I had also read was that he was pro 2A and also, I believe, somewhat of a friend with the Donald.
He's pro 88A. I believe I saw this in a documentary.
Yeah, it shoots through schools.
They made it boring special. It's an 88 Meg. It shoots through schools.
But you know what else, G? His mother hung him on a hook. Once.
I guess we should put that one into the movie of the day.
Oh, please do. Yes, I love that. And then we ought to do Wise Guys in there too, because that's him and Danny DeVito. That's another good one. Thank you, Mr. Acavano.
I don't remember actually ever covering Wise Guys. Did we?
No.
Right. So,
Well, we never. I don't think we ever did Johnny Dangerously either.
no, we have not. And there's an 88 Magnum in it. There's other guns in it too. All right. So, New Jersey. Anything else to speak about Jersey?
Jersey. We got people from Jersey out in the chat, don't we?
Fellas, got anything else to say about Jersey?
Let's see. Robbie, where are you at? Robbie is not. He's there, but he's not there. He's not active, so he would probably have some Jersey info for us if he was here.
What was that MTV show that had people on it just from Jersey?
Well,
mostly.
No, it was actually called Jersey Shore, but most of them were not from New Jersey, actually.
Oh.
They just hung out there.
Which was, yeah, exactly, which was part of the irony.
Well, what we kind of came up with was as we were prepping the show out in that Saturday show was this concept of playing with the slots, because we try to do 3 a day and different ones every week, or different ones every day throughout the week. And nobody'd been asking us questions, so there's no point in forcing that slot. So I think we came up with the idea of featuring a state each week, because there's 52 weeks and there's 57 states, right? So if we can schedule them out like that, then the next step would be to potentially do some sort of prep. So next week we've got Alaska. If anybody from Alaska wants to jump in and tell us about it, if anybody from Jersey wants to jump in this week, not necessarily right now since it's kind of on the spot, but if you're able to right now, jump in. Otherwise, maybe that's the way we can do it, is let people know the coming week what the state will be, and then we can ask for some assistance with giving us some kind of a sit rep of what's going on in the state. Smeggy and I are going to try to come up with something to address the various issues in the state levels on Every Second Matters here coming up soon, so we can maybe work it in with that.
So
Nice.
For general consistency, are we going to do kind of as we do each state, start off with a summary of what's their concealed stuff, what's their open carry stuff, what's their
No, it seems like a lot of work, so I don't want to burden any of us, and I don't want to necessarily make a bunch of homework for the audience, but we'll make a slot for it, and if people want to jump in and participate in that, then I think we can definitely be open to that.
Well, and that's, I think, and yeah, definitely a quick summary. I don't think that'd be too hard. I don't want to go every single thing, but I think most people listening, and in case you don't know or whatever, New Jersey is one of the not so great states as far as I'm pretty sure their may issue, which is probably may not. They don't recognize other states' licenses. They got some weird thing about hollow points.
Duty to retreat.
Yeah. I don't think they have any like assault weapons bans or magazine restrictions, but I'm not sure on that. But anyways, what I was saying is
FOID card, all of that. They got all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm almost positive they're one of the more restrictive ones.
Yeah, definitely. But the other thing, which I think would be cool if we can kind of schedule out, if we know about them, is what's going on specifically in that state. Like, are there good bills that might need some little boost, get some help? Are there bad bills we need to defeat? You know, that maybe we can be a little more like current topics and focus on just the state, which is, I believe, what we're kind of going to focus on. Every Second Matters is setting up a place for each state, have a rundown of all the bills and stuff they have, and be just really a good place to kind of keep up on what's going on, you know, in your state or in states you particularly care about. So, but back to New Jersey, yeah, they're not great. I mean, they're the ones that the whole Shaneen Allen thing happened to. A lady had a carry permit from a different state. She drove to New Jersey. I guess she lives near the border or something. She was setting up like a hotel room or something for her kid's birthday party the next day. So she was there a day early, and she got pulled over for, you know, speeding or something, whatever. And she volunteered to the cops, said, "Hey, just so you know, I have a permit and I'm carrying a gun." And the cops like, "Okay, that's great. Oh, you're not from Jersey. You're going to jail." And took her to jail, and she
now.
Yeah, she spent a few months in jail. I mean, her kid's at home with a babysitter type of thing. Like, "Hey, I'll be back in an hour. I'm just going to go get some balloons." And then had to basically call and be like, "Well, I'm in jail now. Don't know when I'm getting out." Like, that's pretty crappy. And that's it. I think she kind of became the
book at her. That's the other thing, Smegs, is they were throwing the book at her. She was not getting any special treatment until, I don't remember if it was Allen for Second Amendment Foundation or what the group was that stepped in to actually help her out. Like I think even so much as almost contacting Christy and stuff like that.
And that's the thing. Christy did eventually pardon her after she spent, I don't remember, 5 or 6 months in jail. Like she got, like you said, they threw the book at her, and they publicly even said that. They were like, we need to make an example out of her so that no one else ever does this or whatever. Like, really, no one else ever buys balloons for their kid.
That's they're trying to crush a single mom. Yeah.
Whenever I hear something like that, it's just a blatant example of there's nothing just in the justice system. When you go out of your way to crush somebody like that, that's not justice. That's just being mean-spirited.
And I know the big thing at the time, because apparently Jersey has something that's like the, I don't know, like first-time offender deferral program or something. Like there's something that, they're like, okay, yeah, what you did was wrong. Which, and to be fair, she did break the law. New Jersey does not recognize that out-of-state permit. So technically, she did break the law. They were within the law to arrest her and everything. Now, is that a stupid law? Yes. But technically, she did do something wrong. But that's one of those things that this program's like, okay, yes, you did something wrong, but there's, it wasn't that bad or whatever. And you go ahead and do some community service and stuff instead of spending time in jail. And the reason it was so big, because right at that time, as they're throwing the book at her, was when, I forget who it was, some football player or something, was punching his girlfriend in the hotel or some dude beat the crap out of his girlfriend, and he got the deferral thing. Like, even though, what he did was way worse, he actually did harm someone. But for him, they're like, well, just do a little community service and you can avoid. So it's like, why would you use this program to help that guy and throw the book at this lady? Like, that's insane. And she's kind of become the poster child for like national reciprocity type of thing, saying like, yeah, if we get this won't happen to anyone again. But anyways, that's New Jersey. That's how they think. A dude punching out his girlfriend is, should get lesser, or get more leniency
on video.
Yeah,
by the way,
than a mom who happened to have a gun, which was legal in the state she's from. She just drove across the border and was like buying some balloons or whatever. That she needs to get the book thrown at her, and I forget what she ended up. I think she took a plea deal, is what it was. But either way, like
and that was because of the chicanery between the prosecuting attorney and her defense attorney. Like the defense attorney suggested that she take the fucking deal. That's the other part.
Well, because I mean, and here's the thing though: the defense attorney probably knows, hey, New Jersey's about to throw you in jail for 30 years. Just take the 5 years or whatever it was. I forget. That's what I'm saying. I do not know what it ended up being. I know she did get pardoned and got out after months in jail. So she's lucky she didn't spend 10 years in jail or whatever the thing was. Like I said, I don't know for sure. But they were probably going after like 20 or 30 years type of thing.
Oh, it, dude. Especially if she had defense ammo in her carry gun. They're like, that's extra charge on each bullet, dude.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about that part.
Oh, it is. Don't have a hollow point in the state of New Jersey, man. Do not.
No, I mean, I don't know specifically if Sheena Allen had hollow points or not. That may have been charges that they dropped if she pleaded guilty to, the carrying one or whatever. Which is why they have laws like that, honestly. They don't really necessarily care one way or the other about the hollow points. They just want to, if they catch a bad guy, and be like, okay, well, you did armed robbery. Oh, yeah, you also had 10 rounds of hollow points. That's another, 10 years for each one type of thing. So it's just a way of them charging you with way more stuff so that you're more likely to take a plea deal because you're facing way more stuff than if you said, no, I'm going to go not guilty and then see what happens, because then they'll charge you with everything they can think of. Which just it doesn't make sense to me. You should want them to carry, the legal citizens people. If you are lucky enough to get a carry permit, you should want your citizens to be carrying hollow points because that's the most effective round for the job.
And tonight's striker says, "Just don't get caught." That's how you end up getting cornholed and maximum security penitentiary for the rest of your life, dude. Is with that theory of just don't get caught. Just saying.
Yeah, I don't know if I would risk it in New Jersey because that's
no
even
way.
Like I said, even if you are, let's say you have a permit, you're a unicorn, you have a permit. Okay, well, when you get pulled over for speeding 5 over, you say, okay, I have a permit, I am carrying. The cop says, okay, that's great. Like, I'm not going to get you in trouble for that. It's legal. Oh, you have hollow points in here? Now you're screwed. So if you are lucky enough to get a permit, I would suggest carry with.
Like, dude, I'd be worried about carrying a roll of quarters in New Jersey and think that you could get arrested for that for being a lethal weapon.
Yeah, who knows? I'm sure they have crazy knife laws too, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It seems to go hand in hand. When a place is pretty anti-gun, they also are pretty anti-knife, which is one of those things that's a very often forgotten Second Amendment issue. Knives are arms as well. It's not always firearms. So your right to carry a knife should be just as important.
Or a spear, or a bow and arrow, or a crossbow, or a sling, or whatever. You're right. 100% you're right on that, dude.
So there you go. There's New Jersey.
There's the Jersey Shore.
Wait,
Next.
Now, do you recall where they sit? Are they still no hollow points?
That's what we were just talking about. I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I had to step away for a couple.
Okay. Yeah, and that's it. That's a. I don't know for 100%, but that's last I heard it was.
That's how they had been for many, many years.
Yeah, I don't see them changing.
And
recently.
that was just in your home.
Yeah, anywhere.
Yeah, making sure that you definitely over-penetrate.
Speaking of over-penetrating, I'm going to suggest that for the sake of the schedule, move along. So we'll continue to address a state each week. Next week it'll be Alaska. So I guess we kind of decided to go back and forth between freedom-loving states and freedom-hating states.
Yes.
And hopefully maybe Ponery will be around because I believe he at least takes trips to Alaska. So he might be familiar with it firsthand.
Week after that will be New York, then Texas, then Maryland, then Vermont. So if people want to get prepared or help us out, feel free. So with that, we'll move into the gun of the day or the movie of the day.
Sure.
So we try to hit a movie every day. If you're an old guy, something you might not have seen in a while, or if you're youngin', something you ain't seen yet. And today it's Enemy at the Gates. It's a pretty good one. Y'all seen it?
This is what Ed what's his face, and then what's her face.
It's the one chick. She does that dude in the tunnel, and then a bunch of them was in the guns, and then there's a German.
Yeah, the German guy is the Ed guy, Ed Neal or Ed O'Neill or no, wait, that's
I think something O'Neill.
Well, Ed O'Neill, I think, is the dude from Married. Ed Harris, thank you. Not Ed O'Neill. Ed O'Neill's the dude from the dad from Married with Children. But Ed Harris, yes, he was the Nazi. Good movie. I gotta ask though, I whether it was accurate or not historically, I don't think that matters. It was a good story. How the propaganda machine worked, even though it was, Rachel Weisz. And even though they were clearly under bombardment and getting crushed and everything like that, like the propaganda machine was just underground, but it was still working buku or whatever because they wanted him to go back to Moscow or whatever. Or Moscow was paying attention to all the stuff that he was doing and stuff like that. So
I'm guessing because it sounded familiar, but I don't think I've seen it. It's a World War II between Russia and Germany kind of thing, like that front.
Yeah. It's weird. It's Russia when there are
St. Petersburg. Is that where it's supposed to be, or is it Sevastopol? What was the spot?
I really don't know.
Because that was the thing.
It's Russians when they're our allies during World War II, and the Russians are the Nazis. And it's the Nazis are being dicks, and the Russians are trying to. I think they're at their last legs, kind of thing. And it's about a couple of the snipers, really, and like how they kind of deal with.
Stalingrad. Thank you. Yeah. It's not like they were on their last legs, G. It's just that had been one of the places on the Russian front that the Germans had kind of beaten, sieged, and yet still could not occupy, or you know what I'm saying? They still couldn't run it like it was theirs. So yeah, Battle of Stalingrad.
But I'm sure it's movieized. Like I'm sure it was a lot more boring and dangerous, and they made it into a movie, so they summarized it. And,
okay, but at least I know the setting now because like I said, I haven't seen.
It's not like a documentary or anything. I mean, it's a big budget Hollywood movie, so it's exciting to watch.
It was good. I definitely liked it.
I guess Sean's saying the real guy died in 1991. I thought it was mostly about the girl, though.
No, as a matter of fact, it wasn't. It was about Yevgeny, whatever the F his Russian last name was that I can't think of right now.
Yeah, I actually
the one
saw
that's about the chick was like that. She was like an amalgam, the one that was in that movie, because the movie it's like on Prime or whatever right now. I think it's Battle of Sevastopol or whatever, and that's like the true story of the Russian sniper chick. And it's kind of badass, but it is one of those movies you will have to read because it's closed captioned, subtitled. But this one, I definitely like this one. I'd give it 2 thumbs up.
Yep, 2 thumbs up.
Vasily Zaitsev, thank you. Who said that out there?
I'll give it 2 thumbs up on premise. And
I actually saw
trusting.
the movie. I saw it when it actually came out at the theater, so it's 16 years ago, so it's a little rough in my memory. But I remember it as being a good movie, so I'll give it a thumbs up.
All right, there you go. So now you have to go watch it because you got that many thumbs up. You don't have a choice anymore. So
Run out of thumbs.
Yeah. So I mean, you have an option if it's half and half or something, but not in this case. You pretty much have to go watch this one. Especially like if Z said, if it's on Amazon, then come on. That means it's probably on Netflix.
Think so.
All right, so we'll do one.
Hey, I've got Netflix, and a lot of the stuff that shows up available on Amazon Prime is not necessarily available on Netflix.
Another bullet of the day.
I hear you. No, maybe not all of it, but a good fair amount of it is. Well, and the thing is, they might not be at the same time, but it's that type of movie.
They take turns having it.
I was gonna say that was 2 weeks ago on the one, and now it'll be different on the other.
So now we're moving into the gun of the day. This week we're doing bullets, although we probably should do the Mosin Nagant, but everybody knows about that one. So this is what is this stuff? USM4. This like what is it? Ultra lightweight, fast 9mm. Is that the deal?
Yep.
Oh, is that the stuff that also it almost not like frangible, but
I don't think it's frangible so much as just there's not much to it, so it falls apart.
Yeah,
it says it's ultra velocity, 2,000 feet per second.
Energy.
Well, they call it ultra velocity, but yeah.
Well, I just
Ultra
meant
accurate.
it's beyond plus P.
So it's low recoil,
it's
lead
massive.
free. So it's just the solid silver. I don't know what it is. Silver coated copper, I guess, and then just a giant hollow point. So I think that's why it's almost frangible because there's not much mass to it.
Exactly. It'll break apart, but only because there's nothing holding it together.
Yeah.
Well, or because it's going super fast.
Well, the super fast part was the idea of that if you're hooked on feet per second and that's your thing, then you should really get excited about this particular round.
which I never really knew for sure if it was a gimmick because I definitely remember the USM4 ammo being touted by several internet gun experts as well as several members before gun channels and after gun channels had started. I can think of several in my mind right now who lauded it, but I don't know that anybody ever tested a whole bunch of it, so to speak, whether it was through barriers or what it does to drywall or any of that kind of stuff.
Well, right here on the side of the box, and they can't lie, it says ultra fragmentation. And then it gives you a bunch of numbers, and then it says versus the leading brand, their velocity is 2,000 feet per second, where a normal leading brand is 1,100. So it's like almost twice the amount of feet per second. And then the feet per sec, or the energy on the USM4 is 450, where the leading brand is 312. So significantly more foot-pounds of energy, I guess. So I don't know. Has anybody ever shot this stuff? Like Zia saying, a lot of people were talking great about. Was Dano one of them people? Is that what you're saying? I know.
No, I wasn't talking about Dano. It was several others, but I don't know. Dano can be swayed, so I don't know.
There was Yankee for sure.
Yes,
and then
yes, it is correct that
yes.
And I don't include Smeggy in this, but of the panelists here, I do claim to have an open mind.
There you go. Yes, the ones I do remember, G, was Marine and Yankee. Those are the two I remember for sure.
Yes. In fact, I think they drove to meet up somewhere to have a certain exchange, if I remember correctly, in a darkly lit parking lot.
I don't know what we're talking about anymore, and
I do.
I'm about to show you on the doll where this is touching me, so let's not do that.
So it's made by Liberty, and the part that I don't understand completely is that it says USM4 on it, and then 9mm, and then it says it's got the U.S. Special Forces crest on there, and it says somewhere on the box, I think, that they give a portion of the proceeds of each box sold to somehow to the Green Berets, but I'm not sure, I guess, what the affiliation is with the company. So if anybody's familiar with why they decided to brand it that way, it was branded something else first, right? RIP? Or was that something?
No, different company.
Okay.
That's definitely a different company.
Different type of ammo.
Something else first, though, I thought. Anyway, it wasn't all, or else it's branded something since, but I'm not sure why they have the.
Well, in Dot's out there, DF2 Dot, he's saying that Liberty Ammo died. Now, I don't know if that means they're not a company, if, like you said, or if they changed their name and they're not that company anymore. So I'm not sure.
It says that USM4 donates a portion of every purchase to Special Forces Veteran Service Organizations. And the Special Forces Association logo is the exclusive registered property. The Special Forces Association cannot be commercially used without permission. So I'm assuming since they put it on their box, they've got an agreement with the Special Forces Association, which is a legit organization. So, like I say, I'm not sure why they decided to team up with them or why it was branded, but interesting. And one of the reasons I thought it was worth checking out. Anyway, that's our gun of the day. It's really a bullet of the day. It's 9mm. So really it's just for novelty. But we want to be open-minded and feature things that are of all calibers, right?
Hey, hold on. Didn't somebody here have some of that in 45, if I remember correctly?
Me? I only have it.
This panel?
No, only in 9. I think I bought RIP in 45.
Because I remember you had one of those boxes of the light grain weight that shot 2,300 or 2,000 or 1,800. Because I remember it was me, you, and Marco, and we were having a discussion. And he was talking, and like Pink was here, and somebody was talking about slow moving. And you're like, and then you busted out like this box, and it was some of the light grain weight stuff.
Yeah, this stuff. I only bought this with the Special Force crest on there, and I wanted to see what it was all about. I haven't shot it though. And then I bought I'm pretty sure I bought RIP in 45. I would have bought this in 45 if I could have, but I didn't find it in 45 ever.
Okay.
I make it in 45. People that have 45, like people that own a 45 and shoot a 45, they're not going to be subjective to or susceptible to this kind of marketing.
You're probably right.
Well, they're scared of fast things.
They know their market.
Yeah, they tend to be people that are into big and slow.
Yeah, things that work, things that are established. Anyway, we're not putting any
extra leaky.
We're not selling it. We're not discouraging it. We're just featuring it today. So that's what that is. What are we doing next? We did the gun shop of the day. We did the movie Healthy Tip.
Yeah.
So every day we like to do a healthy tip, sneak one of them in there. Today's is build physical discipline. Increase strength, stamina, hand-eye coordination, and fine motor skills are just a few of the physical disciplines acquired in the shooting sports that apply not only to this sport, but to all of life. So I think I stole that off of some website that was talking about getting in shape for the shooting sports. And I think I tend to agree. So that's your healthy tip today.
Excellent. Oh, we do a little gun channels today.
Is there even anything happening else on gun channels tonight? What is today? Tuesday?
I don't think so.
Well, I like you already had apologized for earlier. Well, actually, that wasn't an apology. It was an acknowledgement that we do have Andalusia Armory probably just finishing up or did just finish up.
Yep. And then we've got, I'll ask Smeggy. Smeggy, hit or miss going to fire up in 20 minutes here?
I believe hit or miss Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock.
Okay, that would be, 9 o'clock Eastern.
Top of the hour right now.
Yeah. Then, of course, after that, assuming that they do get it fired up, will be Big Gunner 81. And, of course, in the morning, we've got Early Watch with Jimmy James, and that is Gun Channels today.
We'll be back with episode 253 tomorrow, same time, 7 p.m. Eastern. That's 4 Pacific. And I think we'll see you then.
Did we do gun of the day? Or did I miss that part?
We did bullet.
Yeah, we did.
Oh, that's right. Goddamn. I'm sorry. I'm pulling Canadian again.
But if you want to, you can consider the Mosin the Gun bullet of the day because of the movie. Or I mean the movie. The Gun of the Day.
I'm going to get fired here. I'm not doing a very good job anymore.
Hey.
I don't follow along.
You don't. Never mind.
Okay.
You don't fire. You don't fire indentured servants, dude.
That's awkward because we were going to ask you to stick around after the show today.
Well, I can't stick around after the show because I have to go join Hit or Miss Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock.
Yep. All right. Well, unless we have anything else anybody wants to throw in there?
It's all you and A. Van Vogue.
A.E. Van Vogue from the novel Weapons Shops of Isher, or Isher. What do you think it is, Isher or Isher?
I'm going to go potato.
Gotcha. The right to buy weapons is the right to be free. And on that note, I want to thank you all for listening, and please be prepared.
The guys and gals of GunWebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching GunWebsites.com.